بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. We continue in Buloogh Al-Maraam, and we stopped at the hadith. Oh, I'm sorry everyone, before we start, on the 7:11 p.m. Sunday, May the 5th, which after Maghrib, bi'idhnillah Jal wa Az, will start the month of Ramadan. We continue the classes in this chapter until we finish, because we're almost finished the chapter anyway. There's only about a couple of pages left. We'll finalize them, and then after that, we'll stop the classes, inshallah. So there's only a couple of pages left in the chapter. After that, we'll stop the classes for Ramadan, and probably we'll just give some reminders here and there. But for the most part, we concluded and finished everything. Everything in the chapters have been complete and finalized. And alhamdulillah, like we said, once we can finish this chapter, we'll stop the classes for the month of Ramadan, and we'll just give some reminders here and there. The only thing I will continue is for the sisters as far as usul al-thalatha. The three principles, inshallah, we'll continue that. As we look in the hadith on the authority of Abu Hurairah, as we stopped at the narration which is in regards to al-ithm al-mughallad, the only sin that will come or bring as a result of it a kaffara. A kaffara means a remittance or expiation. A kaffara means expiation or remittance for that particular sin or evil act that was committed. Then certain evil acts deserve tawbah along with a kaffara. So it's not only just repentance, one has to also put forth what they call a kaffara. Kaffara is a type of compensation that one would give due to that act that was committed, or that evil act, or that sin that was committed, which we'll explain inshallah. So we talked about how this hadith, if you look in your books, everyone, if you look in your books, you'll find that this narration is a narration pertaining to one being intimate with his spouse while he's fasting during the day of Ramadan. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, like we said, this is the only sin, if one was to commit it or fall into it, that would come as a result of it a kaffara, meaning as far as in the fast for Ramadan. Everything else would necessitate tawbah, as we talked about. What am I speaking about? Let me explain again. As firstly, we're talking about the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan, when one fasts, we know, due to the fact of the hurmat al-zaman, that the time being very sacred. That's a sacred time that we're about to embark upon after Maghrib. The month of Ramadan is a time that is it's a waqtun fadil. It's a time that is virtuous, and it's also sacred. It's a very sacred time. So one is obliged to fast, as we know, and he's not supposed to break it unless it's a legitimate excuse from the Kitab and the Sunnah, as we know. طيب, we know breaking the fast without a justifiable excuse from the Kitab and Sunnah is a major sin in the month of Ramadan. Eating and drinking on purpose is a major sin during the month of Ramadan, like we said, except for an excuse. One has to have an excuse or allowance or something that's legislated that will excuse him or pardon him from fasting on that particular day, such as sickness, such as traveling, or what have you, as we know. However, being intimate with one's spouse is not a legitimate excuse for not fasting that particular day. So it comes as a result of it, one falls into everyone, a major sin. For not fasting during the month of Ramadan, during its day, from the time of Fajr, up to when the time set, or up until the sun sets, that time is a virtuous time and a very sacred time. So one is supposed to fast unless he has a justifiable excuse that will pardon him from fasting on that particular day. Like we said, if you look into this narration in your books, if you look in Buloogh Al-Maraam, everyone, if you look in the hadith, it says that the man who came to the Messenger of Allah said, I am destroyed, O Messenger of Allah. He said, well, what made you destroyed? وَمَا أَهْلَكَكَ قال وقعت على امرأتي في رمضان فقال هل تجد ما تعتق به رقبة؟ قال لا. قال فهل تستطيع أن تصوم شهرين متتابعين؟ قال لا. قال فهل تجد ما تطعم 60 مسكينا؟ قال لا. ثم جلس فأتي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعرق فيه تمر فقال تصدق بهذا. قال أعلى أفقر منا فما بين لابتيها أهل بيت أحوج إليه منا. فضحك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى بدت أنيابه ثم قال اذهب فأطعمه أهلك. رواه السبعة واللفظ لمسلم. It says that the man came to the messenger of Allah. He said, I am destroyed, O messenger of Allah. He says, what has made you destroyed? He said, I was intimate with my wife in the month of Ramadan. So then the messenger of Allah started to explain the kaffara. He started explaining what is the expiation for that. So firstly, number one, we want to stop at that he transgressed the sacredness of what? Of fasting during the day. So he committed what? A major sin. He committed what, everyone? A major sin. Right. We said from last class, if a person was to be intimate with his wife and he is not pardoned himself due to a legislated excuse, we're going to explain that. Don't worry. Matter of fact, I'm not going to get to that right now. It's all going to come. We're all going to explain this. Right. If you notice in the narration, the Messenger of Allah started explaining what is the kaffara. What is the expiation? The expiation is in this hadith if you look at it. It says, do you find a slave or a concubine in which you can set free? He said no. He said, can you fast 2 consecutive months? He said no. He said, can you feed 16 miskina, 60 people who are impoverished? He said no. He said then the man or the Sahabi radiallahu anh sat. And the Messenger of Allah was brought bi'araqin fihi tamar. He was brought a container that had dates inside of it. So the Messenger of Allah said to him, if you look in your books, he said, give this away in charity. فَقَالَ أَعْلَى أَفْقَرَ مِنَّا. He said, upon those who are more impoverished than us or more poor than us. He said, for wallahi, he says, not between 2 volcanoes, meaning the 2 mountains in Al-Madinah, a house of a family who is in more need of it than us. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he laughed until his motif appeared. And he said, go and feed it to your family. طيب. So now, like we said, we're now going to go into the chapter of all those matters that break one's fast. And we discussed some of them already. We already gave a lot of details in this regard. Food, drink, what have you, what goes out the body, what goes in the body. Alhamdulillah, we covered the majority of that. So now we're discussing of an act that would necessitate the invalidity of one's fast, which is one being intimate with his spouse during the day of Ramadan. And we're going to give the details in that, inshallah. طيب. For number one, we know, like we said, once the time of Fajr starts, it's impermissible for one to eat, drink, and all those other details we gave. Also, being intimate with one's spouse during the month of Ramadan is impermissible. When we say intimacy, meaning the actual private part enter each other, what they call ilaj. Once the ilaj, what takes place of the 2 private parts when they enter, that, and if it's after Fajr, after the time of Fajr, then that act is considered something that will nullify the fast of Ramadan. طيب. So number one, from the conditions of that, is that it has to be, for one who fell into this, has to be upon one, number one, who it's obligatory upon them to fast. For example, a little child or a person that's a majnoon, they're insane, or a person that's ma'tu, or he suffers from what they call Alzheimer's or dementia, where they're not in their right or where they're not totally cognizant and their cognitive functions of their brain, such as suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia and the likes of that. These people right here do not have to what? Perform a kafara. Because we know that manatat al-taklif, or the reason of why something is obligatory or duty upon a person, is that they have to have what? They have to be in a state of puberty. And they have to be what? In their right state of mind. They have to be in a right state of mind. They have to be sane. If these things are removed, then the obligation is lifted. The pen is lifted. طيب. So number one, the kafara, because we're discussing what, everyone? Kafara. So I want to start the topic by saying the expiation is if the private part meets with another. And also in another regard, and which I'm kind of shy to discuss, but I think everyone will understand when I say something involving homosexuality or what have you. That also will necessitate a type of kafara, as we'll discuss, inshallah. But at any rate, a kafara, meaning an expiation, is only performed when the private parts meet and enter each other. That would necessitate what? An expiation. What's the expiation? Which is mentioned in your book. The three things the Messenger of Allah mentioned. That's the expiation. Do you find what you can set free, a slave? He said no. Then the Messenger of Allah went to what? The second, can you fast 2 consecutive months? Then he said that, no, I can't. Then the third, feed 60 and poor people. طيب. That's the kafara. So the whole topic of what we're discussing right now is involving what, everyone? Expiation. That's what we're speaking about. طيب. So the only sin in the month of Ramadan that would bring about an expiation is intercourse. Is intercourse. As far as we discuss masturbation, we're not talking about whether or not it's halal and haram right now. We know it's haram. That's not the issue. We know that masturbation is haram. Especially while one is fasting, brings another sin. We're talking about whether or not do they have to pay a kafara. That's the topic of discussion. Does one have to perform a kafara if one fell into masturbation? Do we say what, everyone? No. Why? Because the private parts did not meet. They did not meet. Did not enter each other. Likewise, similar to that, if one was fondling with his wife or what have you, or some type of movement was done until semen or sperm was released. Notice I did not say pre-seminal discharge. I said what? Semen, sperm. If he fondles with his wife until semen was released or sperm was released, does he have to perform a kafara? No. Let's just say he rolled on the ground, which is rolling on the ground to try to stimulate himself or touch himself or feel himself. We're not talking about whether or not it's halal and haram. We know all this is haram for a person to break their fast. That's not the issue. The issue discussion is, does he or she have to perform a kafara? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? A person roll on the ground, moving himself and arousing his desires until sperm was released, does he have to perform a kafara? No. We said the only thing that would necessitate kafara is if the private parts what? Enter each other. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But still, even though if one touches himself or herself until sperm is released, then what? Then still, they have to make up their fast. Do they have to perform a kafara? No. But they still have to what? Make up the fast, or make up the day. Inshallah, that's what we're going to discuss, inshallah. Fine. So that's the first condition. That a person will have to perform a kafara expiation for who it is obliged upon them to perform it, such as the one who's reached the state of puberty, they're in the right state of mind, they're sane, and they are cognizant in their brain functions where they do not suffer from dementia, where they've totally lost their mind, that they do not know what's going on around them. Such as people who have reached the final stages of Alzheimer's, where it's like they just become like as they say, like a vegetable where they don't know what's going on around them. They totally just lost their mind. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. What they call kharaf or being ma'tu or mukharraf, or being what they call suffering from kharaf, or ma'tu, or mutakhallaf aqliyan, or person that is what they call being mutakhallaf aqliyan. But I hate to use the word, so they suffer from, I hate to use the word retarded. Not mentally challenged, but there's another word for it. Mentally challenged. Yeah, but there's another word I'm looking for. Autistic. That's the word I was looking for. For one that's autistic, also, they do not have to perform what? A kafara, especially it's at the point where they do not what? Have those cognitive functions. So a person that has Alzheimer's, they reach the final levels of Alzheimer's or dementia, or they are autistic, or they're insane, those people do not have to perform what? A kafara. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. So who's it obliged upon? The opposite of who we just mentioned. Person they're fully aware, they're sane, they have their cognitive functions, they understand, they have to perform these affairs which we'll discuss. طيب. The second condition is that if a person was intimate with his wife in the month of Ramadan or during the day of Ramadan, but they did not have they did not have the rukhsah, the allowance that removed the taklif, or that removed the duty in that particular time due to that excuse, such as what, everyone? Traveling, being sick, or what have you. Traveling, being sick, and the likes of that. If a person is in that stage, for example, he's traveling. He's in his travels, and in the midst of his travels, he was intimate during the day of Ramadan while he was traveling. We know that traveling allows one to what? Break his fast. Or not fast that day, Not fast that day, If one was intimate with his wife while he was traveling in the day of Ramadan, in the month of Ramadan, then does he have to perform a kafara? No. He does not have to perform what? A kafara. He doesn't at all. Doesn't have to perform expiation. Or if he was sick likewise, then what? Say he had a sickness to the point where fasting weighed heavy upon him and he did not fast that particular day. He was sick, had a very bad sickness. Let's say he had a stomach virus. Let's just say, for example, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the stomach virus went away. He was intimate with his wife. Does he have to perform a kafara? Did he fall into sin? He was sick. He started off in the morning vomiting. Had a real bad stomach virus. Let's just say around Fajr, throwing up left and right. So he didn't fast that day. Right, let's just say come around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The virus went away. So now he decided to be intimate with his wife. Let's just say his wife was also from those who didn't have to fast. Just for that particular time, due to, let's just say, she's traveling. Can he be intimate with her or not? The correct answer is yes, he can be intimate. If he broke his fast due to an excuse, because he started off the day of a month of Ramadan by something that pardoned him legislatively, meaning justifiably, meaning he was allowed to. So if he started off the day with the legislation or with the allowance, which Allah has given him, and to the point where now, like we said, let's just say Allah preordained that he felt better around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was intimate with his wife, or what have you. Does he now have to make up? Of course he has to make up the fast, but did he fall into sin? No. Didn't fall into sin. Why? Because at the beginning of the day of the month of the day, or that particular day of Ramadan, started off with something that allowed him to what? Break his fast. So we have the narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud where he said, "Man aftara awwal an-nahar falyuftir akhirahu." We have the hadith, or excuse me, not the hadith, the athar of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud where he said, whoever eats or broke his fast or started off the day justifiably, he's talking about. something was justified by Kitab al-Sunnah for now, for him to pardon him or her to break a fast, then let him eat, or let him break his fast, what? The last part of the day. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear what I'm saying so far? I need to repeat. If not, I'll repeat it again. Jade. Keep in mind, the second condition for kafara is that there has to be removed the thing that will what? Allow him to not fast that day. Meaning, the allowance, the rukhsa. The rukhsa is something that will allow you to break your fast on the day of Ramadan, such as traveling, such as being sick. Those are called allowances, a rukhsa from Allah. If that is present, then the actual duty of paying a kafara, an expiation, is removed. He doesn't have to pay no kafara, or he doesn't have to perform an expiation. Why? Because of the existence of what, everyone? The rukhsa. Once the rukhsa is there, or the allowance is there, then that actual hukum of it being haram or unlawful, what have you, is removed due to what Allah has allowed in its place to be a reason for one not fasting or one to be intimate. So if a person now, and I'm giving an example again. If a person is in his travels, him and his wife, they're traveling somewhere far. It's the day of Ramadan. There's nothing wrong with me. Am I sick? No. I feel good. I'm all right. But the travel was about a week or 2 days. It took me 2 days to get there. So it's a little bit of difficulty. Me and my wife decided not to what? Fast. You stop somewhere at a hotel. Intimate with your wife during the day of Ramadan. Do you have to perform a kafara? Why? You don't have to perform a kafara. Because there's something present called the rukhsa, the allowance. The allowance dropped the what? The hukum, the ruling of it being haram to break your fast in that manner because of the allowance that Allah has given. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So one is traveling with his wife. He does not have to what? Doesn't have to fast, of course, based upon it being not a burden, of course. They say that's preferable, but it's not wajib. But he can also be intimate with his wife or vice versa. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So if the rukhsa is not there, meaning he's now resident, he's not traveling, he's not sick, all those rukhas or allowances are not there. And he does this, then now you have to pay a what? Kafara, and you have to make up the day and all the other affairs that we said a person has to perform if he falls into it. So those are the two conditions. It has to be upon a person who's supposed to fast, such as a person that's sane, they reach the state of puberty, they're in their right state of mind, they're not insane. They're in the right state of mind to the end of it. Those people have to pay a kafara if they fall into being intimate with their wife during the day of Ramadan. After the sun goes down, then what? Then there's no problem. We're talking about during the day of Ramadan. We said also if a person was to fall into being intimate with his spouse during the day of Ramadan, it would now be obligatory for them to carry out 4 affairs. Number 1, they fell into a major sin. So if a person was intimate with his wife and he did not have a rukhsa, an allowance, to allow him to be pardoned from fasting that particular day, from traveling or sickness or what have you, then he's fell into a major sin. He's fell into what? A major sin. So number 1 was upon him to what? Make tawbah. Number 2, he has to also make up that day. He has to make up that day. Even though Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri in Muhalla says something else. Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri says you don't. And there's also the opinion, because some people would say with the great Imam al-Albani also mentions, he said, I don't want to confuse everyone. Let me just keep it summarized. I don't want to branch off. Anyway, Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, I'll just mention it quickly. Don't write this down. Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, let me keep it explain clear for everyone. طيب, what's upon a person is they broke their fast. طيب, so they committed a major sin, so they have to make what? Tawbah. Secondly, they'll have to make that day up. Upon the correct opinion. What's the correct opinion? You have to make that day up. Unless that person did not want to fast. Let's just say, for example, he woke up for Fajr and saying, I'm not fasting today. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like I'm not doing it. They just wanted to be evil for some odd reason. May Allah protect us and you from that. Woke up in the morning, I'm not fasting. I don't feel like it. So they didn't even start and they fast. You'll find that even a lot of the Imam say that particular person, it would not benefit them to make up that day. In contrast to the person that started but broke it intentionally. That person should what? Make up the fast and make up that day. So they do make it a distinction. But just to keep it simple, because I don't want to confuse everyone. If a person broke their fast due to being intimate with their wife, they have to make tawbah. They have to make up that day. Third, they have to perform a kafara. They have to perform expiation. The fourth affair is they have to abstain from food and drink for the rest of that day. That's the fourth thing. The fourth thing is what? You have to abstain from food and drink for that particular day. As they say, ihtiram al-zaman, out of respecting the time, because it's a very virtuous time. It's a very virtuous time. And it's not it's upon one to respect and honor and revere the time that we're in. And you broke it and you violated the sacredness of that time due to something that's not permissible. Is it clear what I'm saying? So as a result of it, if a person broke his fast by what he committed of that impermissible act, then they still will have to what? Abstain from food and drink. So just to summarize everything, if a person fell into the sin, it's upon them how many things? 4 things. Number 1, they have to make tawbah. Number 2, they have to make up the day. Number 3, they have to perform a kafara. What's the kafara? It's in your books. Is it clear? Is everyone is in your books? It's in Buloogh Al-Maraam. That's number 3. Number 4, they have to abstain from food and drink. Is it considered now a legislative fast, the 4th thing? We say no. That's just the punishment due to one now violated the sacred time. Is it now a legislative acceptable fast? We say no. That's considered a disciplinary act or punishment for the one who violated that sacred worship by something Allah did not allow. Is it clear what I'm saying? Just keep that in mind. If you memorize that, that's enough. I wanted to get a little bit into detail, but I know that some of the younger youth are here, so I don't want to confuse them. There is an opinion with Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri. Don't write this down, because this is this is just a side benefit. Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri said if a person falls into this, he doesn't have to what? Make up the fast. He doesn't have to make up the fast. Also opinion of the great Imam Al-Albani, from what I understand. But I'll have to recheck it. But what is the qawl rajih in the mas'ala is, and Allah knows best, of what the Lajna Da'ima, which is opinion of a majority of Ahl Ilm, they say that he has to make up that day. He has to make up that day, in contrast with Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri mentioned, and also the great Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah rahmatu wasi'ah. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. طيب, you'll find that they say al-kaffarat, the expiation. Now another question comes. Is the expiation, is it only for the fast that is wajib in Ramadan? Or is the kaffara applicable to all the other obligatory fasts or voluntary fasts? Or is it just specifically for those who violated their fast in the month of Ramadan and that's it? Meaning the kaffara, the expiation itself. Is it for every other fast? Like, for example, I'm going to give you some examples. Let's just say I've wanted to fast Monday and Thursday. I fell into being intimate with my wife while I was fasting Monday and Thursday. Do I have to what? Perform an expiation? Huh? What's the answer? What's the answer? Yes or no? We say that correct answer is what? What do you say? Yes or no? He said no. The correct answer is you're right. Yes, you guys are right. No, he doesn't have to perform a kafara. There is no kafara. There is no expiation for the voluntary fast. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Type, another question. What about the obligatory fast? Such as taking a vow or another, siyam another. What they call making a vow to Allah. For example, oh Allah, it's upon me for you that I fast 2 weeks straight if you cure my sick. That's called another. Type. Let's just say I was performing the siyam another and I broke it by being intimate with my wife. Do I have to perform a kafara? Yes. Does he have to perform a kafara or not? The answer is, I'm glad you gave me that answer though. That's good. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for being brave. Because some people be like, I don't know. Type. The correct answer is there's no kafara. There isn't any. There's no kafara, but he still fell into a major sin, of course, because he violated his ibadah or what have you. We'll talk about that later. But there's no kafara for the other fasting that are obligatory other than the fast of Ramadan in which he broke his fast in this manner, by being intimate with his spouse. That's the only one that necessitates what? A kafara. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But another example. Let's just say he has to fast 2 consecutive months. And those 2 consecutive months that he has to make up, or he used to, meaning the kafara itself. Let's just say the kafara itself. In one of those days when he was performing the kafara for 2 months, 2 consecutive months, he found to be intimate with his wife. Within one of those days. Does he have to now fast another 2 consecutive months? Do you understand the question? I'll say it again. We know that kafara, if you look in your books, if a person falls in a sin, one of the things the Messenger of Allah mentioned was what, everyone? He has to fast how many? 2 consecutive months. Now let's just say he's in the time where he is what? Fasting 2 consecutive months. 2 consecutive months, right? So now, all right, I'm going to perform this kafara. So in one of those days, he fell into being what? Intimate with his wife. With trying to perform an expiation at the same. So he's he's not fasting the month of Ramadan, he's performing in what, everyone? Expiation. So now, he fell into being intimate. During one of those days, he was actually intimate of performing that kafara. So does he now have to fast another 2 consecutive months? We say no. No, he doesn't. But he did mess up what they call qata' tatabu'. He did fall into something else, which is he violated that consecutive manner in which he was supposed to what? Fast. Qata' tatabu'. He cut his consecutive months. He cut the consecutiveness. I guess that's the word in English. But at any rate, but the consecutive time now he violated. But does he have to now perform another expiation? We say what? No. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? So I'm going to just sum up everything with the great Imam Ibn Uthaymeen just to make it summarized, because I would like to make things summarized. So he says, هذا في قضاء رمضان. He said, هذا فيه قضاء رمضان فعليه القضاء لهذا اليوم الذي جامع فيه وليس عليه كفارة. He said, وبناء على ذلك لو كان هذا في قضاء رمضان. And he gives an extra benefit. Even if the person has to make up that day. Because we know Ramadan, fasting in Ramadan breaks down to 2 types. One is called ada, one is called qada. Ada is what you're doing in the month of Ramadan. Qada means you're making it up outside the time of Ramadan. Is it clear? طيب. The kafara is only for what is done in the month of Ramadan. of what you fell into, of being intimate with the spouse during the day in the month of Ramadan. Outside the month of Ramadan, let's just say you're making up that day. On that day that you made up, you fell into being intimate with your wife. Do you now have to perform a kafara or not? What do we say, everyone? No. Why? Because it wasn't Ramadan. Ahsant. Jay. Good. You understand so far? I'm giving you guys these details so you can be knowledgeable. They're very important in these different masail. They're very important in these different types of matters that we're discussing now. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? Is it clear? So the kafara is only for what, everyone? What they call an ada. Ada meaning you're performing the fast in the month of Ramadan and you violated the sacredness of fasting by being intimate with your spouse in the month of Ramadan. That is the only thing that deserves the kafara. In regards to the other fasts, then we say what? No. The only things that deserves a kafara is, like we said, the month of Ramadan, and we'll discuss later what they call kafara to dhihar. When you say to your wife, you're like the back of my mother. That statement is called dhihar. If you do that, then you also have to perform a kafara similar to this. We'll discuss that later. And you cannot be intimate with your wife until you carried out that kafara. Because it says clearly in the ayah in Surah Al-Tahrim, min qabli an yatamassa. He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Surah Al-Tahrim, that if you say this to your wife, you're like the back of my mother, then you have to what? You have to now carry out kafara, and you cannot be intimate with your wife until you finish it. So you will have to fast 2 months straight and finish before you can be intimate. At any rate, that's not the point of discussion here. That's just a side benefit. The point of benefit, what we're trying to summarize, and if everyone did not understand what I've been saying the past 20 minutes, understand this. The kafara is only for what, everyone? When the private parts meet and they enter each other. If the private parts meet and they enter each other, I hate to do this with my hands. That private parts meet, I think everyone understands. If the private parts meet in the month of Ramadan while the one is fasting, or she is fasting, and they have manat al-taklif, it's obligatory upon them to fast. They're in the right state of mind. They're not crazy. They don't have dementia. They all sane to the end of it, and they're not traveling. There's no allowance. They're not traveling, or they're not sick, or what have you. All those things remove the hukum, removes the ruling. But however, this is not their case, and they fall into it, and their private parts meet, they enter each other, then it's incumbent upon them to perform what? A kafara. A kafara. You see clear what I'm saying? Like I said before, and I gave the examples, let's just say you were fondling with your wife, or your wife was fondling with you until sperm was released. Then we say, do they got to perform a kafara or not? What do we say? No. But they still have to, they have other things they have to do. We're just talking about whether or not they have to perform a kafara. That's it. That's all we're just saying right now. No doubt it's a major sin. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, do they have to perform a kafara? We say no. Only if the private parts meet and they enter each other, then a kafara. Side benefit. Doesn't necessitate that one ejaculates. If he used to be intimate with his wife, and a man says, all right, I fell into the sin, but I didn't ejaculate. Does that now remove him the fact that he has to perform a kafara or not? What do we say? Ahsant. The correct answer is you still have to perform a kafara. Because the hadith, if you're discussing Buloogh Al-Maraam, the Prophet ﷺ didn't never what? Look to whether or not the man ejaculated or released or not. So that wasn't the point. The point is that he just merely fell into the what? Into the act itself. بغض النظر أو بصرف النظر عن كونه هل أنزل أم لم ينزل هذا ليس محل البحث وهذا ليس موضع البحث. That's not the point of why we're discussing this. The Messenger of Allah didn't look to whether or not and ask him, did you ejaculate or not? No. The point of what he mentioned is that he fell into the what? The act. So if a person just did the act and he said, well, I didn't ejaculate or whatever, I didn't release, that still would necessitate you still have to what? Perform a kafara. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Jayyid. Tayyib. Another thing we want to look at. We're going into detail today, aren't I? Another thing I want to look at. If it's done out of ignorance, if it's done out of forgetfulness, don't worry, we'll discuss that. A person can say, how can a person forget to be intimate? We'll discuss that, inshallah. It could happen. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what if it's done out of ignorance, done out of forgetfulness, or done out of, now we're going to get to another matter. Write this down. What if it's done out of ignorance? What if it's done out of forgetfulness? And what if it's done out of force? من باب الجهل أو جهل أو النسيان أو إيش الشيء الأخير الذي ذكرته نسيته إيش هو? What's the third? If he was forced. Jay. For each one has its ruling, of course we know. A person would say, now if a person was intimate with his wife out of ignorance, is he upon him to make a kafara or not? What would you say? No, that's clear. Doesn't have to do a kafara. Give an example. We know ignorance can break down into either ignorance of the ruling or ignorance of the time. I'm going to go knee deep into detail because I am going to details today, aren't I? Yes, I am. I like to make things harder upon people. So they say, AbdurRazzaaq, your class is too easy. No, not today. I'm not making it easy. I'll tell you how I can really get to another level. So now, in this regard, we'll say, for example, let's just say a man was intimate with his wife. And it was close to Fajr and he lost track of time. The time of Fajr came in, he didn't realize it. Once he realized it, he stopped in the motion and got up and moved away from his wife. He looked at the time, I didn't know the time. So let's be mature about this, brothers and sisters, please. Don't make me laugh. So now, what do we say here? Is it upon him a kafara or not? Is it upon him a kafara? He's being intimate with his wife. Right around time Fajr, like soon as he was reminded, he stopped. Let's just say something went off on his clock. Whoa, I didn't know. Or I heard the adhan. He heard the adhan. Oh, I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention to the time. Tayyib, what do we say is upon kafara or not? No. Why? Because he was ignorant of the time. Ignorant of the time. He was in a total state of unawareness. You understand? He's jahil of the waqt of the time. Same thing. Also, to break one's fast, similar to that. Person, be serious, brothers and sisters. I'm not trying to be perverted or nothing. We're bringing these masail because they can happen. Tayyib. And we're bringing them from the aspect of knowledge, so let's be mature. Tayyib. Let's just say one breaks his fast in this regard. First of all, is it permissible to break your fast with being intimate with your wife or not? To break your fast. I'm not talking about traveling. Can you break your fast by intimacy or not? Answer the question. Think. Can you break your fast by being intimate with your wife when you find that the time for Maghrib has come in, the sun is going down? Can you be intimate with your wife or not? So can you break your fast with her in that instance or not? I'm asking a question. We say yes, you can, even though it's not the sunnah, of course. But if a person did it, then yes, they can. Why? Because the sun is what? Down. The hurmah or the sacredness of the time is gone. So if he broke, and there is, now I thought about that. I don't want to get too deep into that because I don't want people, oh, let's hear. No, I'm not getting into that. It's clear. It's clear what I said. It's enough. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Jay. So if a person did that, did he have to do of kafara? Broke his fast in that way. Some men out here that's really attracted to their wife. They say, I can't keep my hands off her. Hey, I'm going to break my fast. Can't keep his hands off her. As soon as that time came in, bang. You understand? We're being realistic here. It happens. Right or wrong? You understand what I'm saying? So, he breaks his fast. Does he have to perform a kafara or not? Huh? No, he doesn't. If he broke his fast in this manner, he does not have to what? Perform a kafara as long as he knows that the time was going down. Now let's throw a curveball in it. Let's just say he was intimate with his wife by breaking his fast. Then he found at the time that there was still, the sun came, it was still a little bit of time till the sun went down. Huh? Does he have to perform a kafara? Huh? Keep in mind what I said. Keep in mind the principles that I just said. The man was intimate. He broke his fast by being intimate with his wife. Sun was down. He thought the sun was completely down. It's the time. All right. So I've been intimate with his wife, right? Played. Found out, turned around. Oh, I think the sun was still a little bit up. Just time, a little bit up, a little bit of sun. Type. Does he have to perform kafara? Or does he have to make up his fast? Yes or no? What did you say, Ja'far? We say no. Just to sum it up. No, he doesn't. It's not upon him anything. His fast is still valid. Why? Because he was ignorant of the time. He was ignorant of the time. And he was total unaware. And he did his best to see whether or not the time was in. He thought it was completely in. So now the manat taklif, or the affair that made the obligation there, was raised. Because in his mind, he thought that the time was what? The time for Maghrib already what? Started. So he has a total belief in his mind that what he's doing is halal. Is it clear what I'm saying? The only time where it would be held accountable is if his mind, he knew what he was what? He knew what he was doing. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tayyib. So if he's in total, absolute unawareness, focus, total unawareness, then we say his fast is still valid and he does not have to what? Make it up. You don't know what I'm talking about right now, do you? Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? Is it or not? Person would say, is it permissible to break your fast in this manner? Yes. If eating and drinking is permissible, therefore all the more reason that you can what? Be intimate with your spouse in that particular time. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? And you can break your fast in that manner. I know some probably people online will be like, oh, I didn't know that. Yes, you can. And I'm not going to talk about this no more. Too much details and brother, ooh. Let's just be mature about this, brothers and sisters, please. Tayyib. So that is from those manners we just discussed. So a person can be excused due to one of the three affairs. They could be ignorant. Ignorant of what? The time. The other type is the ignorant of the ruling. If they're ignorant of the ruling, they do not have to what? Perform a kafara. They don't have to perform expiation. Nor is there anything else upon them. They do not have to perform expiation if they were ignorant. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? If they they do not have to perform expiation if they were what? Ignorant. Tayyib. What about out of forgetfulness? That I'll discuss a little bit later. Some of Ahl Ilm say it's impossible. How can a person forget? How can he forget not to be intimate? It could happen. Maybe both spouses forgot. They can happen. Or maybe she might be a person of the book if he was in a proper circumstances for that, even though I'm on the opinion strongly that it's not permissible to marry a woman from the book of these days. I'm on that strong. I have no doubt about that. It's not permissible to marry a woman of the book these days. If you want my evidence, I'll give it to you. The strongest one who gave the tafsir or the details for that is the great Imam Al-Albani. And he brought some crazy, nice, in-depth details, laying down his position. He said, of these days and times. He said, for a particular reason. He brought his reasons. It's not permissible to marry a woman of the book of these days. And he brought the reasons why. But to say generally, of course, we say it's what? It's halal. No, we're not going to say what Allah made haram. May Allah make halal haram. We're not going to say that. But there's certain conditions for it, as we know. But at any rate, that's just a side point. We're not talking about that. But anyway, everyone, that's just for the brothers out there who want to get thoughts and ideas. Because I know there's some brothers out there that do that even though they know what they're doing. We're not talking about brothers that's ignorant. That's something different. We're talking about people that know, that set out to look for marrying a Christian woman. طيب. So if a person does it out of force, let's just say the husband forced her. He said, listen, if you don't be intimate with me, I'm going to kill you or I'm going to hurt you. طيب. The man, of course, is responsible. That's clear. He has to perform, make a tawbah, kafara. All right, the issue is now the woman. If she obeys him in that, does she have to perform a kafara? Forceful. Jayyid. I tried to throw a curveball in there. Forceful. So it's nothing upon her. So she does not have to perform a kafara at all. Nothing is upon her. Nothing. If she was done out of force, then she does not have to what? But if she was willing and say, if his husband said, I want to be intimate, she said, okay. Now it switches. Now she has to perform what? Kafara. But if he threatens to kill her or threatens her for harm or things of that nature, then she does not have to what? Jayyid. طيب. Another question to everybody. Let's go back to the hadith quickly. Look into the hadith. Notice it says in your books, O Messenger of Allah, جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال هلكت يا رسول الله قال وما أهلكك قال I'm destroyed, O Messenger of Allah. This wording right here, brothers and sisters, shows that he had knowledge of the ruling. Not knowledge of what was going to... It's time? Oh, hani'an lakum. The month of Ramadan has officially started. Hani'an lakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows to what? Well, we reached it now. He's about to start. The month of Ramadan has officially started, everyone. Hani'an lakum. Wa mubarakan feekum. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Ramadan. Now you've entered the month of Ramadan. I'll let you go for this time. طيب. Due to the fact that your name is agreed with the month. طيب. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوصي والفضيل وأبعث المقام محمود الذي وعدته. طيب. What was we saying again? I forgot. Now, look into the hadith. What does it say, everyone? Halaktu ya Rasulullah. Halaktu ya Rasulullah. If you look at your book. What does it say, O Messenger of Allah? I am what? Destroyed. That wording right there from the hadith, this indicates what, everyone? It indicates he had knowledge of what he did. So he wasn't ignorant. Or else he would have not said what he said. He said, I'm destroyed, O Messenger of Allah. So you could put right there by saying, if you want to write in your books, this is an indication he had knowledge of the ruling. Not knowledge of the actual hukum, or what will come as a result of it, which is what type of punishment or what type of expiation we have to perform. Because a person would now, don't worry, I'm going to get into it. Don't worry. I'll say it because there's a reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. طيب. He said, what made you destroyed? He said, I was intimate with my wife in Ramadan. So he clearly knew and had knowledge of what he was doing. Is it clear? Is it clear or is it not clear? طيب. This shows and indicates, brothers and sisters, another benefit. As long as the person knows the ruling for something and they have knowledge of it, of something being halal and haram, let's just say they were in a Muslim country, of course, they're still held accountable for the sin, even though they might be ignorant of the result of it. Is it clear what I'm saying? A person would say, okay, I'll give you another example. Person knows fornication is haram, but he did not know that if he fornicated, he didn't have knowledge that the ruling of, if he was to fall into fornication, that either he'd be stoned to death or he'd be lashed 100 times or he would have to be exiled from the land that he's in. Let's just say he did not have knowledge of the punishment, but he had knowledge of the ruling. Does it now, I ask everyone the question, does it now, if you were ignorant of the punishment, even though you are knowledgeable of the ruling, does it excuse you from the punishment? Is it clear? Is it clear as the question? You understand what I'm saying? What's the dalil? The dalil is here, right here. If you notice, the man had ruling of the hukum, but he did not have ruling of the what? Of the punishment. And the message of Allah still held him what? Accountable. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear? So the message of Allah had shows that the man had knowledge of the ruling what he did. But he was not aware of what was going to be the what? The punishment, the result of what he did. So that shows and gives a ruling clearly to show that if a person just knows the ruling of a particular affair and he has knowledge of it, for verily, that is enough to suffice that he will receive the punishment. Is it clear what I'm saying? But if he was ignorant of the ruling, not the result, I'm going to throw a curveball. Let's just say he was ignorant of the actual ruling now. Let's just say he did not know that being intimate during the day of Ramadan with his wife was haram. He didn't know. Now he's ignorant of the ruling. Does it switch? Does it switch or does it switch? So he's not excused. He didn't know. I didn't know I couldn't be impermissible intimate with my wife. I didn't know. He ignorant. Keep in mind what I just said. Of the ruling, not the result. The ruling. He's ignorant of the ruling. He's still held accountable? No. Exactly. Because he's excused due to what? He's ignorant. Is it clear what I'm saying? Now I'm going to switch it again. What if he's ignorant of what's going to come as a result of what he did, even though he knows the ruling? He's held accountable. He's held accountable. Doesn't matter. If I would have known that I was going to get lashed 80 times or 100 times, I wouldn't have did it. Did you know it was haram? Yes. Khalas. That was enough. That was if we were in a Muslim country. We're not in a Muslim country, so that not applicable here. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So I don't want anyone to think that you can do certain things in masajid, which I've heard certain people do out of ignorance. That is only from the powers of the ruler, the Muslim ruler. You don't rule the land here in America, so you can't apply those type of disciplinary actions. That's only for the authorities, not for the common folk, nor for the imam of the masajid. As I heard certain Muslims do that, which is absolute ignorance and blasphemy and nonsense. At any rate, is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. So then the message of Allah. Now, listen. Another thing I want to discuss about this hadith. Notice it says in the narration that the woman wasn't mentioned. The woman wasn't mentioned. It was only concerning the man have to what? Perform these focus. That the man has to only perform these what? Expiation. The woman was maskutun anha. It wasn't mentioned about what was her affair. So what do we say about this? Is the woman included in this ruling or not? Notice it didn't mention anything about what the woman had to do. Does it mention it anywhere if you look in the hadith? Does it say anything about what she had to do? No. Type. Now asking the brothers, Does that excuse her or pardon her or not? The woman his wife. Let's just say now she did have knowledge. Matter of fact, let's just stick to the asl, the origin. The origin is, everyone, that women are the same in regards to the man and the hukum, in the ruling, unless there's a text that gives differentiation between them. Otherwise, the origin is what? They take the same. That's the asl. So we're sticking to the origin. Now, if there would have came some details, she didn't know, that's something different. But it wasn't mentioned. So we remain upon the origin, which is what, everyone? That he had knowledge and she had what? Knowledge. So the woman is the same for the what? The man. So he would have to perform a kafara, and likewise what? She would have to perform a kafara. And I will stop here. We'll stop here. I'll see you guys Wednesday. So we got to pray Maghrib. And remind me to make wudu because I have to make wudu. Huh? Man and the woman are equal in the ruling. Unless there's a text from Kitab and Sunnah that differentiates them or differentiates between them in the ruling. For example, praying the 5 prayers. It's obligatory. The origin is that is what? Obligatory upon who? Male and female. Taib, Jumu'ah? No. Why? Because the text shows clearly in Kitab and Sunnah that the obligation is only for what? The man, not the woman. However, in this regard of what? A kafara. Of here, we remain upon the what? The asl, upon the origin. نبقى على أصله. Unless there's a text or nas or text that clearly differentiates between the male and the female. But here there isn't any. So it remains upon its what, everyone? Remains upon what? Its origin. Unless the woman comes and says clearly out of her mouth, I didn't know that I could not do that. Now that's something different. But a person will have to investigate. But we're just talking about, generally speaking, the asl is that the man and the women are equal unless there's a text that differentiates what? Between both. It remains upon its what, everyone? Its origin. Is it clear? Type. So we'll stop here, inshallah. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Kitab al-Siyam, we're going to finish it. It's only 2 hadith left. It's only about maybe 2 hadith. 3 hadith left. That's it. It's done. We'll finish up the chapter and stop. That's it. Now, if you want Kitab al-Tawheed, come to Usul Thalath on Sunday. Which I tell everyone to bring their kids for because they need that. We probably need that more than this. So I keep telling people to listen to Usul Thalatha. Taib, we'll stop here. Any questions about the lesson? Tafadal. Hold up, Rico. I'm going to pick a name for you too. Huh? Mm-hmm.
Everything that you said, that he had intercourse with his wife. Does that same ruling apply to her, even though she may be sane and all that she's fasting?
Say the question one more time for me. Say it one more time.
If a man becomes sick, and he has a condition that he's sane and all that, and he breaks his fast due to that sickness, he takes the rukhsah. Does that same ruling apply to his wife? Is she also sane, but she's not sick?
No, she can't break her fast.
No, but I'm saying in regards to him having intercourse.
If his intercourse, nothing is upon him, but it will be upon her. For example, I give another question. This is a trick question. It's not a trick question. It's easy to me. All right. Man was traveling. This is a deep question. Man was traveling. Traveling. It's the day of Ramadan. Traveling. All right, so he started off his day. He didn't fast. Why? Because he's traveling. So he doesn't have to fast for the month of Ramadan, especially if there's a difficulty upon him. But he entered, he returned back to his home residence. The day isn't over on Ramadan yet. The day of Ramadan is over yet. The day isn't going out yet, that particular day. Taib, his wife was on her mens. Then she came off her mens and made a ghusl right before he arrived. So he came from his travels. As soon as he seen his wife, grabbed his wife, was intimate with her. After she made a ghusl. Did they do anything haram? Any of them? This is where the importance of knowledge comes in. See, people don't come to class, y'all be like, man, what do I do? Not realizing what you're losing out on. See, I give you a hint already. It's not realizing what you're losing out on. What's the answer, brothers and sisters? Did he or she do anything haram? Just give me a straight answer. Did he or she do anything haram? The answer is no, they didn't do anything haram. Rather, it's permissible. Keep in mind the hadith or the author of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. What did Abdullah ibn Mas'ud say? Whoever broke his fast during the beginning of the day due to a legitimate excuse from the Kitab and Sunnah, then let them what? Finish off that same day in that same manner. So I was in my travels. I started off, broke my fast due to the allowance that Allah gave me, which is the allowance of what, everyone? Travel. Even though I returned in the middle of the day, I started the day off I started my day off by leaving off fasting by something that Allah what? Allowed me. So that would necessitate the last part of the day what? I could do it in the same manner. Even though I came back to my residence. Because I started my day off by what? Something that Allah allowed me to part myself from what? Fasting. The sister, the same thing. The wife, the same thing. Rather, it was obligatory upon her not to fast because she was on her what? Her mens. It's obligatory upon a woman not to fast from the month of Ramadan when she's on her what? When she's on her mens. But her mens cleared up that day right before her husband arrived. So she broke her fast due to something that Allah allowed her, not only allowed her, but made it obligatory upon her not to do. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So far? Huh? So she made a ghusl, then was intimate with her husband when he came back from his travels. Did they do anything haram? We say no. Why? Due to the narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud where he said, whoever broke their fast in the first part of the day, legitimately, of course, justifiably from Kitab and Sunnah, then let him do so in the last part of the day. Meaning, he broke his fast, he didn't fast that particular day, and for that reason, everything else is halal for him. Even though he might arrive back to his place of residence. You understand? He still can eat and drink even though he just came back from his what? Travels. Why everyone? Because he started off his day not fasting. Jade. Is it clear what I'm saying? So even if you come back in the country or you come back in your residence or you come back in your city, you still can what? Eat, drink, and be intimate with your wife. The wife, the similar to that, the same thing. She started off her day by something that Allah is obliged upon her. She has to what? Not fast. She cannot fast at all. It's not permissible. Rather, it becomes a sin if she's to fast if she on her mens. Right? Her mens stopped in the middle of the day. She made a ghusl. Husband came. As soon as he seen her, he grabbed her. Right? He's intimate with her. Did she fall in anything? Did she do anything haram? No. This is the importance of having knowledge, brothers and sisters. See the importance of ilm? It's the reason why we tell people to study. Once you start this will make you love knowledge. These are the type of things. See, when I do what I do, I'm sure everyone can see clearly that I do what I love to do. See, you benefit more, especially from a teacher who loves to do what he does. Then I get all the sadness and grief of the dunya comes back to me after the class is over. But during the class, I am in my own zone. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear? And all the turmoil of the dunya, all the pathetic, disgusting things going on in this world comes back to my head again. All right? Play everything else? Anything else about the questions? Tafadal. Mm-hmm. Fasting. Yeah. As long as you're traveling, he does not have to fast. Once you come back in the city, let's just say you're in the middle of the day and you arrive, but you started off the day you're breaking the fast, then that day you could continue to eat food and drink or what have you. But then once you arrived at your place of residence and the new day starts, you have to what? You have to fast. Is it clear? Is it clear? Jade, I have to pick a name for you, Rico. Tafadal. Mm-hmm. Y'all just heard, you said you was listening to the radio? After the sun goes down, yes. You could be intimate with your spouse after the sun goes down. You can even break your fast that way. We mentioned that in the class. The person said you can break your fast by being intimate with your wife. Yes, you can. Even though it's not the sunnah. But if you did it, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you realize that the sun is down, khalas. But even if you were ignorant and you found out it was a little bit of time off, you're still good. You don't have to make it up. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? What's the second question? Uh-huh. Working on electronics? Doesn't break your fast. You mean doing work? Or doing physical work or labor? That doesn't break your fast. For physical work, you can even swim. Some Ahl-Ilm say. Just make sure you don't swallow the water on purpose, but they say you can even swim and go diving. And you can take a shower while you're fasting too. You can take a shower. You can take a bath while you're fasting. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tafadal. That's if you're afraid that you're going to fall into that aspect of fasting. If you're going to get into an argument, then don't do it. But that doesn't necessarily break the fast, but it diminishes your reward to the point is as if you didn't fast. That's if you get into an argument with someone. If you get into an argument with someone or bad talk someone or you speak obscene speech or some type of vulgar speech or obscene speech or what have you, that will diminish your reward to the point where as if you didn't fast. But it does not actually break the fast, but it makes the reward less to the point where it is as if you didn't fast. But if you're just playing sports and you're just doing some jogging or something that around the park while you're fast, there's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't break your fast at all. Even if you just say, let's just say you're doing some vigorous activity while you're fasting, it doesn't break your fast. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Just guard your speech while you're fasting, that's all. Guard your speech. Tafadal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does that break your fast, you mean? Oh, I don't know anything that break your fast. I don't know anything to say that breaks your fast. I mean, as far as it diminishes, if it's something impermissible, of course, then it's going to diminish the reward. If it's not, then I don't know anything that would necessitate, it would invalidate or break your fast. I don't know anything that says that. And Allah knows best. As far as video games. Anything else? Baqi shay? Tafadal. سموني شيخا ولست بشيخ إنما الشيخ من يدب دبيبا. شرب الدخان يفطر. لا لا يفطر. Doesn't break the fast if he's selling it. It doesn't break his fast. Why? Because the tahrim of what they call, that's what they call in usul. The qawaid of usul is that the thing that's haram is not connected with the act that he's doing. They're not connected. It's outside. Kharij an al-manhi an. His fast has nothing to do with it. So, but he's still athim. ما زال آثما. ولكن هل أفطر؟ لا. He's still sinful, but he did not what? Break his fast. Could be. Absolutely. And it could necessitate his fast might not be accepted due to some evil act he's doing. That could be a probability, no doubt. But to say it breaks his fast, you can't say that. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tafadhal. Oh, we already talked about that. Unintentional, we already spoke about that. You guys ready? Now I have to go make wudu. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.